All right. Hello, everyone, and happy Monday. What we are going to talk about tonight is we are going to talk a little bit, and I mean a little bit about, I don't really like to go into science very much with our products just because we don't want anyone to be Mr. Molecule or anything like that, or feel like you have to have so much knowledge before you can talk to someone. I think that's something that's super important to note because it can be almost a paralysis in your business if you feel like you have to know all the little bitty details about ingredients and things like that. So I'm just going to kind of brush over a little bit of a broad spectrum of it so that you kind of get an understanding. Honestly, for me, it's like why Thrive is so different, why it gives us this foundational difference that other products don't give, honestly. And it's interesting because I have a bunch of samplers out right now, and a bunch of them are in the medical field or in dentistry and things like that. And it's just funny sometimes the questions that they ask, just because there really isn't a lot of knowledge in that area. And it's a little bit overwhelming for me because nutrition, which is food, is what we all survive on every day. And so just the fact that there's so much, honestly, lack of education in that area is just kind of mind blowing for me in general. And it's something that I've always been super passionate about, way before Thrive ever came into my life. And it's just kind of one of those things that I've always tried to live that healthy lifestyle. And when Thrive came along, it just kind of fit into the piece of the puzzle. And so for me, just kind of digging deeper into why it fits so much into the piece of the puzzle, for me, every single day, I find another piece that's like, oh my gosh, like, did they even know that whenever they did this formula? Because it's mind blowing to me. Some of the things that are in it that I'm listening to now, that research has been done and it's been in our product all along. And I'm just like, yes, like every time I come home, because I always listen to things while I'm running, and I come home and I'm like, Joe, oh my God, I just listened to the best podcast about green tea extract and what it does. And oh my God, it's in our products, and it's naturally there, And so I get super excited about it. So I'm going to try super hard to stay on topic because I'm super passionate about it in general. So hopefully, like, I've got pages of notes, and hopefully I can kind of just kind of go over it in a broad manner. So first of all, what I want to start with is just so that you all understand that our formula is a naturopathic formulation. And just that in itself, just the verbiage of that, means that it's a system that uses natural remedies to help the body heal and regulate itself. Okay, so just think about that in itself when we're thinking about our products and our ingredients in our product, that it's meant to heal the body and regulate things. Okay, so that just off the get-go is something that we have that's given us that foundational core every single day. And so basically, when we wake up in the morning and we take our 3 steps, what we're getting macronutrients and micronutrients. Okay, so if we were going to build a house, like every single day, I use analogies a lot. So every single day we have the opportunity to build our house, so to speak. And it's going to start every day with that solid foundation. Okay, and that's our macronutrients that are found in Thrive. Of course, it's got our proteins, our carbs, and our fats. Those are our macro, meaning big nutrients that we need every single day. And then we have our micronutrients, which micro means little. And with the exception of vitamin D, our bodies don't produce micronutrients. Okay, so we have to get all of that from the food that we eat, the supplements that we take, just in a day's manner. We have to get all of that stuff in so that our body chemistry is made up properly every single day to fight off disease, fight off infection, heal properly, and to grow, and to do all of these things. So that's what Thrive houses. It houses these natural ingredients to give our body what it needs to regulate itself and to chemically balance itself every single day. Like, first, right off the get-go, we are just like loving on our body. And that's why we notice something different. Like, all of us noticed something different as soon as we started our 3 steps, right? Some of us noticed it pretty quick. Some of us may not have noticed it pretty quick. My imbalance may have been completely different than your imbalance. So I noticed some things in my body really quickly, just with reduction of toxicity in my body. And that, of course, is what those micro and macronutrients help do, is reduce that toxicity. So I noticed something different pretty quickly in that way. And of course, toxicity is what is growing in our body based on what we continue to feed it with throughout the day. So you have your bad bacteria and you have your good bacteria in your body. And something a lot of people don't understand is that your small intestine is not meant to have bad bacteria in it in general. And what happens a lot of times when we hear people that talk about indigestion and acid reflux, all of those things, which I was one of those people, it means we have bad bacteria in our small intestines. That's not where it's supposed to be. Okay. And so it's supposed to be in our large intestines with our small and we have good and we have bad bacteria. And so generally speaking, what they tell us to do is they tell us to take an acid reducer. Well, acid reducer kills the good and the bad. So hence that, there's still a problem after you stop taking it. But back to, sorry, I see I got off on a tangent. It's going to happen all throughout, and I'm so sorry. But I just want you to understand the natural parts of it versus the things that happen in our bodies when there are imbalances. When there are imbalances, we go and we get a prescription for something, or we get medicines or whatever it is to fix a symptom. And with natural approach, which is what Thrive is, what we're trying to do is fix it in a natural way. So when we're talking about the eight-week experience, a lot of the things that you're going to see in the verbiage, go to the Cloud Office and read what it says. It says that it's basically going to get your body functioning at a peak level. And that is what it's designed to do by balancing out what we start our day with every day. One of the things they talk about in the videos, though, is they talk about good diet, and they talk about exercise. There's three things that are required to have good health in general, and it is getting the nutrition in. So you've got your food, you've got your exercise, and you've got your sleep. Okay. Everything is functional. It's all one system. A lot of times we break things apart, but it's all literally one system, and every system affects the next system. So if we don't start our day off right and get that foundational core in, followed up by good nutritional valued things throughout the day, which is basically going to be like more macronutrients with our proteins, our good carbs, and our good fats. We're basically building our structure for the rest of the day. Okay. And so I love that they picked the name Thrive, simply because what we put in our body is what our body is going to thrive on. Okay. And so disease, illnesses, chronic inflammation, like all of those things actually thrive on bad bacteria. So it's super important that we keep that balance correct. And that's kind of what Thrive is designed to do, is give you that foundational balance, followed up by what you continue to put in it with your healthy lifestyle choices. And that's where you're going to reach your peak performance. And I wanted to touch on that a little bit because I want to give you an example. A lot of you know Dana Shuva. Okay. One of the things that she's implemented is a lifestyle change. So Thrive has given her that foundational core with her macro and micronutrients. And what she's done is changed her lifestyle. So have you guys ever noticed it's the healthy lifestyle that we all promote every single day? And so that is the difference. She's been taking Thrive. It worked great, right? But her lifestyle didn't really change. Somewhere in the middle, she had a baby and all kinds of things happened. But then when she went back to that healthy lifestyle, then she's reducing inflammation in her body, which is what is going to naturally happen with these right choices and your macro and micronutrients balanced out correctly. And then you're going to see her metabolic rate change. Okay. And that is one thing that people, there's a big deficiency with micronutrients in general. And what that will cause is it causes that metabolic dysfunction. There's even something called metabolic syndrome. And like, I don't know what I think this morning I listened, it's like 80% of all people have some sort of metabolic dysfunction, which means that your chemical imbalance is off pretty much. And so there's a lot of things that we can do basically to fix that. But the thing is it's always going to start with those macro and micronutrients that create that basically biological change in your body every day. And a lot of you will notice things, like I said, whenever we first start thriving. I know like when I have samplers, like I have one right now, and she's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Like this, I noticed this today, I noticed this today, and I noticed this today. It's simply because she has a balance in her body that she hasn't had before. And that's what you're going to notice with people. So when people talk to you, and everybody that comes to you and that has that need for Thrive is basically saying, I have a chemical imbalance in my body. I'm missing energy. I have headaches. I have this, I have that. And it's literally an imbalance of chemical in their body is basically what's happening, whether it's an overproduction of a hormone, whether it's under production of insulin, the way the insulin is being absorbed, just all of these different things in your body. It's just this great big chemical experiment basically inside your body. But we all need those same universal core things. And the percentages are astronomical as far as deficiencies go. And it's simply because of the foods that we have available to us. They're not as nutrient dense as they once were, just because our soil is different than it ever used to be. I know Rochelle Roper is on here and she is like genius when it comes to that. It's just not the same as it ever used to be. There's not just processed foods now, there's ultra processed foods. And that's what all the bad things, the chronic things that are out there, even the thing that's out there right now that's freaking everybody out, it thrives on bad bacteria, bad microbiome, all the bad. It thrives, it wants to go there, it wants to live there. And I don't know if you guys, same thing with alkaline, you've heard of alkaline state. We talk about boost a lot with people because it basically balances out and creates this alkalinity in your body. Well, cancer doesn't like to live there. Cancer likes toxicity. It loves things like that. And so what we're trying to do, being preventative wise, is we're trying to create a health in our body that's not inviting to those sorts of things. And so when we talk about lifestyle in general with Thrive, we're getting that foundational core every single day to give us the right steps. So when people ask me, like, well, what do I have to do? Do I have to change my diet? Do I have to do these things? And my answer is always listen to your body. Because as soon as you start taking it, you're going to notice some differences. Like for me, I remember craving weird things. Like I craved broccoli, I craved red meat, I craved certain things on different days. And it was based on the deficiency that I had in my body at that time. So our bodies are very smart and very in tune to what it needs at the time. And that's how your body is designed. That is how God created your body, is to be this balanced out system to crave those things that it needs. And so there are times that you're going to notice that you're craving certain things, and it might be bad things. It might be more toxic foods. And it's just because there's an overproduction of a certain hormone at that time, because probably our diet has been poor the day before or what have you. And so each time that happens, we're actually asking our body to eat more of that food. Okay, if that makes sense to you. Let me see. I'm going to turn my notes here. Make sure I covered some of it. I have notes like everywhere. Okay. I'm going to stop for a second and see if anybody has any kind of question or anything.
I have a question.
Yep. Hopefully I know the answer.
Well, I mean, I kind of know the answer, but you can say, I'm sure you know the answer better. We have a lot of people that like to say, well, there's too many carbs in our lifestyle mix. And we know that carbs are necessary in what we need, but what do you say to them to help them understand the macros in our lifestyle mix compared to what they think that they should be dieting?
Yeah, well, and we need a certain amount of carbs. Like that's our energy creator. So we need good carbs. Carbs got a bad rap because everybody thinks of carbs as the complex carbs, like your pastas and your cereals and your, all the things that are like that, your rice and, just different things like that. And so a lot of people associate like all carbs are created the same, and they're not. We need good carbs. And so the macronutrient part, our carbs and with the dietary fibers and the perfect formula that it is, we need those carbs. Those are the necessary carbs that we need, is what I like. That's how I explain it, because I always ask questions when somebody talks to me about our macros or our carbs versus another carb or what have you. I always ask questions like, well, what are you trying to keep your carb take under? Because we need certain carbs, and a lot of people completely cut carbs 100% out of their body. And that's actually a bad thing. So we need certain carbs. So all right. Anybody got any other questions about that? I was hoping Ashley was going to get on here. I haven't seen her yet, because we had a conversation too. And a lot of this stuff, like I'm trying to keep things compliant here. And it's super hard. But a lot of the things that we have talked about were, just different things that she's been having to do bedside with vitamins and things like that, just as treatment, so to speak. So, and I guess for me, like when we're talking about things that are going on around us, like I take things very personal like that, because I think, how can I help with everything that's going on? And the biggest thing that we can do, because to me, all of us are healthcare providers, because we have we are helping provide health. Okay. And I don't mean it in a way like, not like we're nurses or, just different medically trained staff. But the point is we have a health product and we're advocates of that. And so for me, I take the, product of the product very seriously, because for me and my family, and I know Joe and I have these discussions often, because the biggest thing that I can do for my family is to get my body and keep their bodies as healthy as I can keep them, because that's the biggest thing that we can all do, is get people to understand, and explain and understand the importance of all of it. It's not just you can take these 3 steps and then boom, everything's going to be perfect. You can eat whatever you want, you can do whatever you want, and everything's going to be hunky-dory. And it does give you that foundation, of course, which is why it works so well. My gosh, you guys have seen people that don't change their lifestyle and have some great results. But I will tell you straight up, it is going to work completely different for somebody that is doing the lifestyle change along with it. And things happen to all of us. There's lots of times, I know for me personally, I'll go through spurts where all of a sudden I'll be eating, I'll not eat as good as I have been eating, and my body will have inflammation in it just like that. And you look at it as weight gain, but it's really not weight, it's not really weight gain per se. It's inflammation in your body. And again, that's what all the bad things like to thrive on. It's easier for you to be a host for something when your insides are full of bad things, is the easiest way I know to say that out loud. And so for me, like, that's the thing that we're all hosts, like, it's like inviting, people to the party. We don't want to invite certain people to the party. So we got to keep those people out, and they don't even need to know we're having a party. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of where our diet and our exercise comes into play with that. And everything is revolves around good and bad bacteria and what it does in your body. And the best way I know to explain that is Thrive is like planting a garden every single day in your body. Okay. And what we do after that is what creates the weeds in the body. Okay. That's what's going to create the weeds in your garden through the day. Whether you're putting really good stuff in there, or whether you're, keeping the percentages to like, well, it was 90% good and 10% not so good. Well, you know what? That's only a little bit of weeds. So like, we're still winning there versus having to go, like, none of us are super strict with what we do. We're just very conscious about the foods that we're putting in our body, because that's what Thrive is. It's that foundational core, like I said, and everything that we put on top of that is what's going to thrive from that. And so, we don't want to retrain our receptors so that they're now craving toxic foods again. Okay. It's only going to do so much with these micro and macronutrients. We have to do our part as well. So I'm always super good about talking to people. I ask questions. I never say you have to eat this, this, and this, and this, because I don't know what their body needs. I can tell you what Thrive gives them, and I can tell you what, kind of what they shouldn't eat. But I always ask, like, well, what is your daily intake normally like? Because the reverse of that is you can have metabolic distress because you're not eating enough food, and that will literally damage your metabolism, and it will go so slow. And a lot of times those are the people that are, I don't know, older people or 50s and my age, that are like, well, I'm older now, so my metabolism is really slow, and I'm like virtually eating salad and this and that, and like literally I never lose a pound. Well, the reason is because you're not putting you're not eating enough. You're not giving your body the correct macros that it needs throughout the day to burn the energy that you're putting in it. And so you're actually damaging that metabolism, and you're actually making it go the other way on yourself versus, so you're like running and you're doing all these things, but all your body is doing is storing it, because it's not sure when, it's like in hibernation mode. It's not sure when it's going to get fed again. So it's super nervous, and it doesn't want to use anything that it's got stored because it's scared it's not going to get enough of it again soon, because it didn't get enough of it today as it was. And that goes on for months. And all of a sudden you've got this huge problem, and that it takes a lot to get that reversed. And so the biggest thing to understand is that it's a foundational core. It is a natural approach to a healthy lifestyle system. And that is the best way to explain it. And I always tell everyone, it's followed by a healthy diet and exercise, followed by a healthy diet and exercise. I say it in nauseam to people. And like I said, it's not something that you're judging when you're asking them a question about well, what's your normal intake like, and then if they tell me that, well, I hardly eat anything, but I eat, I don't know, some sort of whatever the carbs are that they're eating, and they're complex carbs, then I just kind of veer them in a way that okay, well, you're going to notice that you're not even going to become, craving that anymore. You're going to absolutely love this. You're going to find yourself craving different types of carbs. You're going to need fruit. You're going to need, the things that your body needs basically to function better. So, but I don't want to confuse or get too complicated with things, because the biggest thing you need to know is that those three things, it's giving you that core foundation. It's a naturalistic approach to give your body what it needs in a natural way, followed by the natural foods that are eaten, which is going to create the best sleep of your life. Literally, you sleep good, you wake up, you make good decisions, right? And so that's just basically how that works. If you look back to see on your really bad days, I always ask well, what did I eat today? What did I drink today? Most times, if I'm tired in the afternoon, it's because I didn't do my part. It's not my Thrive's fault. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. It's because I didn't eat enough, or I didn't drink enough, and I didn't give my body what it needed for the day. So, when you have people that are talking about crashes, or you have people that are talking about certain things like that, just ask questions, ask what they're eating, ask what they're drinking, the number one sign of fatigue is lack of enough food and water. And so I can talk to them about that, because most times it's because they're not eating enough, or they're not drinking enough. So, so it's very simple. The approach that they've taken is very simple. And I love it because like I said, as I'm sitting here looking at ingredients and things, just like we use folate instead of folic acid. Like, I mean, there's just like so many nutrient rich things in our products, you guys, like you just have no idea. Like, I mean, just no idea. I am like a junkie with functional medicine because it gets to the root of the problem, not fixes the whatever it is, the symptom. And it all revolves around vitamins and minerals. Every single thing about it revolves around a vitamin or a macro or a nutrient or a micronutrient, every single thing. And so I love it because I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's Thrive, like in a nutshell, followed by what we're doing every single day to give our bodies what they need. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. So what we can do right now is be educators, like be the example, follow what we preach, like as far as what we're doing every single day, set the example for people. And a lot of times people just don't understand. They don't understand that every time they eat something or you know, whatever it is that they're doing, a lot of time is actually feeding the symptom that they're having versus fixing the natural effect that we're trying to heal their body with. So so that's kind of it in a nutshell as far as that part of it goes. Rochelle, do you want to pipe in and say anything? I know you're right there. I don't know.
Hang on, my mouth is full. I'm eating. No, I think what you said was great. So, and I agree. I mean, if anybody understands functional medicine and nutrition, it's probably me, from all the years of trying to fill in my nutritional gaps from my deficiencies and all. I mean, all of my previous health issues were because of deficiencies in my body not being able to absorb nutrients properly. And Thrive just made it so much simpler to do that. And it gave my body things that were easy to absorb because there were no synthetics or fillers and things like that. So no, I think everything you said was right on. So.
Well, and that's the biggest thing is the absorption. I mean, you know, you guys, we talk about that a lot, but that's where a lot of the lack of knowledge comes into play, and the lack of nutrients in the body comes into play. It's because, you know, people are, and I see it a lot on people's pages, and I know you guys do too, but I mean, there's a ton of healthcare providers out there that are showing like 13 bottles of things on their counter right now. And I'm just like pulling my hair out because I'm just like, your body's not absorbing any of that. Like, and if you think about it, you know, if all of these vitamins and minerals are not being broken down and they're ending up in septic tanks, that's like the most toxic environment there is, right? A septic tank, and they're still in whole form in the septic tank. Just let that sink in for a second and you'll kind of understand, like, it's not happening. Like, it's just, and actually it's really bad because a lot of that stuff's ended up in the water systems and all this stuff. And it's just bad environmentally. So if we want to help the healthcare workers, if we want to help the community, if we want to help all the things, like the entire system, because everything is an entire system, then it starts with getting people to understand what health is and what healthy lifestyle is. And that's what we talk about all the time, is a healthy lifestyle. So our goal isn't to talk to people and sell people Thrive. Our goal is to get people as healthy as we can. And that is the biggest thing. And whenever they understand what good health feels like, then they become residual customers that don't fall off. You know, people ask me all the time, like, well, how much do you make off of a customer? Well, heck, I don't know. I still have the freaking first customers that I had from the beginning. Like, to be honest, I have several of them that are still ordering customers. Like, so I have no idea how much I make, nor do I care. What I do know is that they're as healthy as they can be and ready to fight whatever it is that's out there. And that's the best thing I can do for them, is give them that information, educate them on it, and let them understand why. And then last thing I'm going to talk, like, I just want to say this really quick, because I know that there's a lot of other companies out there that are promoting other things, and there's a lot of competitors out there. Some of them they're loaded full of different things. The artificial sweeteners, one thing about artificial sweeteners in large amounts like that, they're actually a lot sweeter than natural sweeteners are. And it actually is so much worse for your body, because you're actually going to crave sweet things whenever you are drinking those artificial things. So the low fats and the low, you know, all these artificial sweeteners and all this stuff is bad, bad, bad. It's very bad for you. Statistics show people that drink Diet Coke gain more weight than people that drink Coke. I mean, just so you know. So, I mean, those are the differences. It's a sweet, as artificial sweetener's a lot sweeter. So when I see people drink the like huge drinks like that, I'm just like pulling my hair out. But all I can do is, I don't ever get defensive. All I do is continue to educate. I just continue to educate on my page because I know what I have is natural. And that's what we have that the other companies don't. A fad is a fad and Thrive is not a fad. Micronutrients and macronutrients will never be a fad. God created those and here we are. Okay. And so it's just, that's what we need for our bodies to be functional, just like they're supposed to be every day. That's how it was designed to work. And so the best thing we can do, like I said, is just preach it. Just preach it from the rooftop, live it, and just educate people as you can. So, all right. All right. Thank you guys for hopping on.